Right, Thursday morning, how are you doing? I'm going to go and have a look at this Mega 300. It's a Daewoo Mega 300. I'll tell you a bit more about it when I get there, but it's, yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to go about it because the guy says when you start the machine it blows the end off the hydraulic pump. So I don't know how, I don't know how I'm going to check the brake pressure and adjust it if as soon as I start it I'm going to end up with a hydraulic pump to rebuild. So yeah, anyway, we'll go and figure this one out, and I'll see you there in a minute or two. All right, here we are then. Let's have a look. 2001 and pretty oily in here. Ugh. Brake pedal valve looks a little bit, sorry for the wind noise. That's the brake pedal valve there. This is the stoplight switch and this is the low pressure or transmission cut-off switch. It's amazing, isn't it? 2001, so what's that? Nearly 20-year-old, and the original stickers are still on the wiring loom, which makes life a little bit easier. But yeah, this is the hydraulic pump here. So you've got the main pump and then you've got the next pump which is steering, and then the pump on the end is for your brakes, pilot and the fan motor. And that's all done by that valve chest up there. So it looks to me like the feed pipe from the hydraulic tank to this pump is what has been blowing off. When they were saying the end of the pump's blowing off, I think they mean the hydraulic feed pipe there. So pump pressure comes out of this rubber pipe here, over there to the brake pilot filter, and back across into this valve chest up here. What you haven't seen is the hour or so that I've spent this morning looking at the hydraulic schematic and looking at what pressures I should be expecting to see. So I'll pull that up, and now I can see the machine in the flesh, I can translate what's on the schematic to what's on the machine. But yeah, I'll show you that in a sec. Okay, so looking at the shovel and looking at the schematic, and I've just had a crack with my boss as well, who's far better at reading schematics than me. We're wondering whether this valve isn't operating, so it's in the stuck position, so it's just building pressure, which is C1, which isn't too bad to get at. It's on the valve block. So this is what I mean. There's a serial number 1000 to 3000 is this type, and then 3000 up is that type. So we can ignore that and have a look at this. And C1 is number 2, which is a sequence valve, and then number 3 is the pressure reducing valve, and they're both next to each other. So I'm going to pull both of them out, but priority is on that one there. My hand's in the way, that one there. That's what I'm going to do. So bear with me while I try and I'll show you where they are on here. Look, show you in here. You can't see really, but anyway, I think if I get this cover off, or what's left of the cover, be able to get better access hopefully and have a look. But you can see the pipes that's blown here and here. So you've got one pipe going to the rear axle and another pipe going to the front axle, or vice versa. This one definitely looks new. I'm not sure whether that one is. That might be an original, looking at how rusty it is. My goodness me. So yeah, that's plan of attack. Pull them two valves out and we'll have a look. performance. But yeah, these are my two valves. The bigger one is my CU2, the smaller one is my C3. So I'll take the pair of them out and have a look. I'll need to clean this area up first before I introduce any dust and muck into it. So next job is give this a good clean up. Go and get my pressure washer in a bottle, brake cleaner. So number 3 and number 2 are now sat on my workbench. This is number 2, this is number 3. C1, C2. And to be honest with you, I can't see an awful lot wrong. I can get my pick in here and even do it one-handed. See, I can move the valve in there. It doesn't seem to be getting stuck. And same with this one. See the valve in there? Seems to be alright from my reckoning. So they're working. Let's have another look. So I've got my pressure sensor plugged into this pressure line here, which is going to the brake pedal. You've got two pressure lines, P1 and P2, and that's going to the brake pedal valve, which is there. So that'll be those two pipes, I think. Anyway, it doesn't really matter at the moment, but I remember the guy was telling us that it kept blowing this pressure switch, which is this one here. That's the shell of one of them anyway. And looking at the schematic, I thought it'd be one of the pressure switches which is on that valve arrangement that we've been working on. So I thought, right, before I start it I better just check that, because I said that the pressure switch had blown again. I thought, right, I better pull the pressure switch off and cap off the port so I don't get oil squirting everywhere. But both pressure switches on there seem to be okay. What I have noticed though is a wire dangling down, which is in here. It's the wire which is the emergency steering. And when I look further down, there is another pressure switch that's blown out. So that's on a completely different circuit. So why is that blowing out? Pass, I do not know. So I have had it before. It was on quite an early DL where the pump feed for the steering comes off, goes down into here. This block here has got like a, describe it as a non-return valve in. And I've had it where the nut has worked its way off and it's jammed the thing up. It didn't mention anything about lack of steering. Normally when that happens the steering kind of locks up. But I don't know why it's wanting to blow the pressure switch out, so I'm just going to pull it out and have a look. Pull this arrangement here off, split it there and take these pipes off and just split this here and just have a look what's going on in here, because my pressure switch is here and this is my pump feed coming in and it's obviously chucking that pressure switch out, so it'll split here and I'm sure there's a non-return valve in here. So we'll just have a look at that. Right, so I can hear something wrong with this. When I was sort of walking back to the van with it, I could hear something shaking inside, and I don't know if you can see. I can't do it without my pick being in the way. Let's see if I can focus in there. Look, hang on. You see that disc in there with the hole in? That's blocking this, so I've got pressure coming into here, going up to my steering valve, but the oil can't all come up this way, so the pressure's backing up and it's blown the end out of this sensor. So I don't know whether, like I say, the system's, I can't see it at a glance anyway. I can't see it linked to my brakes, but if not else we'll be able to stop it blowing the pressure sensor out. Let's strip this out and I'll show you. So just before I start stripping it down, I'll just give you a quick description of how this works. This quarter line here comes off the bottom of here. That is just a dead end pipe, so you've got a group of test ports on the right hand side of the cab so you can test what your steering pump pressure is. So your pump pressure comes into here, through here and up out of here. You've got the pressure sensor which is down here, so if that pressure sensor opens, then that'll tell the emergency steering to kick in. So on the machine there's like looks like a big starter motor with a pump attached to the end of it. If it sees low pressure, the emergency steering kicks in to make up the pressure that's lost for whatever reason as a safety feature. So inside there's a non-return valve, so it'll stop any of the pump pressure going that way and feeding the emergency steering pump. But yeah, we should have oil coming up through here and up out of here. But like I say, blown the end of this pressure switch off, and there is definitely something floating around in there that shouldn't be, so hang tight and we'll split it in half. So you're seeing this firsthand, and it's just as I described it. If you remember, I said there was a nut that works its way off, and literally all I've done, I've not done anything else, all I've done is taken the lid off this and grabbed the camera. So there you go. So if I pull this apart now, take that off, take that off. I don't know if it's supposed to have a grinding mark in it, look. Take that off. There we go. So what was happening was this plunger here, that flat plate, was sitting naturally unfortunately, as the oil pressure is getting pushed through. What's happening is that is then sitting over, I've dropped it now, this here is sitting over that there and blocking the oil, and obviously there's no relief valve. You've got oil coming straight from the pump into there and through here. There's no relief valve to let the oil away. So what the machine does is it chucks the pressure switch out and throws it apart. So yeah, I can rebuild that and put it back together. That may be what's causing the pipes to blow. Is there's a possibility that if that steering pump, and if the oil's had nowhere to go in that steering pump, it may be possible that the steering pump pressure has been forced through the seal and into the brake pilot pump, is what I am concerned about now. Yeah, we'll see, but that's why that pressure switch has been blown anyway. He's had about 3 of them in the last 2 or 3 weeks, he says. So yeah, it's funny, I remember coming across that on a DL back at my old spot, and the fault was, do you know how it came about? Actually, I'll tell you how it came about. The machine was working inside like a dark shed, and the driver complained that his lights would go dim occasionally. What's that all that about? Anyway, it was only when I was driving it around in the shed and when I was steering I noticed the lights go dim. But I also noticed the emergency steering light symbol was flashing up on the dash. So then I knew my emergency steering was kicking in. At the time I didn't know why it was. So I took the lead off the emergency steering motor, and sure enough, when I was steering, my lights weren't dimming, but I found the steering was hard work to move, and that's what it was in the end. So obviously the machine was seeing a low pressure drop, and it was the steering pump had failed or was worn, and it wasn't creating enough pressure, so the emergency steering was coming on. And I think the pump had failed due to that this bit here. This bit here blocking it and had nowhere to go. So yeah, there you go. I never thought I'd ever come across it again, but it's funny, those lessons you learn way back, they always stay with you. Right, I'll put it back together and I'll have a bite of lunch. Well, lunch has been had, and yeah, I'll put this back together. What I'm actually wondering now is this brake pipe that's been replaced a while ago, is that just because the brake pipe original looked like that and it just failed due to age, shall we say? And is it in fact, if I look, I wonder if the steering pump is fed by that feed pipe there as well as the brake feed, and is my fault actually the oil's got nowhere to go from the steering pump, so it's blown the feed pipe off. So that's where my suspicions are. So I wonder if sorting that valve out down there has cured my problem. Either way, what I'm going to do now is, well, I'll check the hydraulic oil level, because if it's blown that pipe off, it's going to have lost a lot of oil very quickly. I can see a couple of empty drums there, but I'm pretty sure that isn't going to refill what's been lost. And at a glance, can't see it on the gauge there, so I'll chuck some hydraulic oil in it, and then I'll keep my pressure gauge in there and just keep an eye on the brake pressure. And I think we're safe to start it now. I don't think, now that the oil's got somewhere to go, I don't think the end of that pipe will get blown off. So I think we're on to a winner. Right, I have just had it running. The pressure built up to about 40 bar on here, which took a little while because you've got the accumulators to fill. Not a little while, but sort of 10 seconds or so. But there's not enough oil in it, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. Or not enough that I want to keep running it anyway. But the end hasn't flown off. The fella that was driving it the other day, sorry, he's just turned up before, so he was telling us when he put the end of the pump back on, within 15 seconds it blew the pressure switch apart. So it hasn't done that. Here's a way to go and get some more oil, because I've used all the oil up on the van that I had. I didn't realise how much oil would have been missing from the machine, shall we say. So yeah, I'm just going to gather up some tools that I don't need out anymore, and he'll be back soon, hopefully. Well, I've run it up and the brakes work, the steering works, and yeah, it does just want another 20 litres of hydraulic oil in there. So I'm not going to go rallying up and down this road, lifting the bucket up and down. There's enough oil in there to circulate around the machine without lifting the boom up. So yeah, the man that's paying me to be here is happy, so we'll pack up, leave it at that. Happy days. Next job, it's about, what is it now? I think it's about 3:30. Next job's a little DX85. There's squeak coming from the engine bay, but I feel it just wants to fanned out, tightened up. Right, there we go then. That was a nice little job, I think. Yeah, I've just parked it back up the top there rather than the side of this farm lane. Yeah, I don't know if I've got what else to add other than I worked out that when that machine was brand new, getting PDI'd. I was still in primary school. Never mind, it hasn't beaten us. On to the next one. I just a fan belt to nip up on that little 8 tonner, so yeah, happy days. It's 20 to 5 and probably about half hour away from home, so we'll leave it at that for today. Tomorrow, what am I going to do tomorrow? It's Friday. Oh, I've got that track roller up in the woods to go and do, and I've got a 6-ton dumper. They've filled the hydraulic tank with diesel, so that's the first job tomorrow morning. Go and drain some hydraulic-y diesel out of a dumper. So I'll see you in the morning. Morning all. It's Friday at last. I say at last, I feel like it's gone quite quick this week. Yeah. This morning I'm gonna nip across town there. There's a dumper that had the hydraulic tank filled with diesel, which I've probably already just mentioned, but obviously it's a day later. And then I've got that 225 to go back to with bottom roller to fit because it's fallen off in the woods somewhere. So yeah, we'll go and get those done. Now, speed is of the essence today because everybody's talking about this rain that's going to come in and it's going to be absolutely wild, so I gather. I was on the phone to somebody yesterday and they were saying that they're going to be knocking off at lunchtime because they expect the weather to be that bad. So yeah, we'll just have to see. I can see it now though, me trying to put a roller on a digger in the woods in the lashing rain. But yeah, this is what you come to expect at this time of year, so better crack on. Well, this isn't too bad. I fully expected it to be in the middle of a quagmire, but yeah, he's filled this hydraulic tank with diesel. I'm pleased it wasn't the other way around. Diesel tank side, and you can see they use the same filler cap, and if you're not familiar with it then I can see how it's easy done, but I'm pleased it's diesel in the hydraulic rather than hydraulic in the diesel anyway, that's for sure. So I'm going to take this belly plate off and see if I can see any bungs, or at least pull the suction hose off. Hopefully I don't make too much mess. They're coming out. I'm not entirely sure how much this holds, but I'm hoping it'll all go in that blue drum. If it all goes in that blue drum, it'll be about 40 litres, I think. I definitely hope. Can't be too big a system, it's just 2 steering rams. I think this one's only got 1 skip ram. Maybe even 1 steering ram on this. Yeah, just 1 steering ram. So, can't be too much as it gets close to the top. I tell you what though, I honestly thought I'd be lying in that sort of stuff there. So I'm unlucky it's on the tarmac road. Goodness me. Right, I'm going to stop out there because otherwise I won't be able to lift it and pour it into an empty drum. So what I've done is I've drained all the oil out and diesel out. I put 20 litres in, which took it above the suction filter, started it, ran it for a couple of minutes, drained that 20 litres out, and I've just put 50 litres in. That's fetched it right to the top marker on the level, so I think we should be alright at that. So yeah, if it's 50 litres to fill it, and I'll have 60 litres of waste stuff, plus the 20 litres that are drained out. It's only really had 10 litres of diesel in it, so it should be. I'm not concerned about the pump. The bung has got a magnetic. The bung's got a magnet on it, and there was no swath or anything on it, so I think we're all right. When I started and ran it there with the 20 litres in, there was no grumbly noises, so it's been all right. It'll be all right. It will. Live to fight another day. Right, we'll get tidied up, get this waste oil chucked in an empty drum, and leave it at that. Just finished putting the belly plate back on that engine. I just thought, while I'm under there, obviously I'm not under there just now, but while it's on nice clean tarmac, I'll just take the opportunity to grease these drive shafts, because I might as well while it's clean, and if I do have to come and service this, it'll, you know, chances are it won't be as clean to lie on, so I'll just do it the now, and it saves any hassle, doesn't it? No harm. That is all greased up, so I might as well while I'm down here. So we'll pack up and get on the road. Next shop's only 20 mile away, but the roads to get there, oh, twisty, turny, and transport that roller. I'll tell you what, we'll see at the end when I get to the machine. I'll open the door and I'll film it. We'll see where that roller ends up. I don't drive like a lunatic. Paid by the hour. There's no sense in driving like a lunatic. But I can guarantee you that roller won't be there when I get there. Right, we'll crack on. So we're in the back of the On now, and the weather's catching up with us. It's been a wet old drive up here, but yeah, it is what it is. I tell you what, it feels like a long time ago since I was complaining about the heat. I remember servicing that loading shovel. Was I servicing it? I was doing something with it, and it was about 33 degrees, and I was just too hot. Hey man, that seems like a long time ago. There's not much around here other than trees, and well, there's not a lot awful else to see really. But at least it's peaceful. I gave the driver a phone before I left Carlisle, so he should have the machine down on the roadside by the time I get here. You have your good days and your bad days, don't you? Well, it's not too bad. He's put the digger in the right direction. The rain's going that way, so it's the roller closest to the travel motor that's fallen off. And ta-da! It hasn't moved. I did rearrange it after I finished filming. I thought I'll try and jam it between two drums. Hasn't gone anywhere. Tell you, I ain't no Amazon driver, that's for sure. Right, we'll get the waterproofs on and crack on with this. I'm glad I've got this boiler suit, I can tell you that much. Goodness me. I think I just need to go stand in front of a pressure washer. Maybe if I stand outside for long enough I'll come back clean. Oh, that wasn't nice. So put that new track roller on, went around every single bolt on the undercarriage, give everything a good nip up. Yeah, it's just, I think it's the terrain, the environment, and I've never known any other track bolts or roller bolts come loose. Either that or the operator's just sort of keeping an eye on them. Now, that's not to take anything away from this operator, he's a lovely fella, and to be fair to him, he did notice one. He said yesterday it was rumbling a bit when he was tracking, which is amazing really, considering he's away up on that hillside and among all that brash, and he got it nipped up before he lost it. But yeah, one of them. I've gone round them all anyway, nipped everything up, and hopefully that'll be him away now. But the noise, we thought we'd cured it. We'd made some adjustments and one thing or another, and thought we'd sorted it because we ran it for 20 minutes and couldn't hear the noise. However, it did take about half an hour of working the machine before the noise became apparent, and my boss was sort of looking at me going, "Has this thing really got a noise?" So anyway, I'm gonna get a couple of bits ordered for it and I'll have to come back up here again. So yeah, right, I am hungry. It's 26 minutes past 12 and I didn't pack any lunch today, and there isn't, as you can tell, a local shop just to pop into, so I'm gonna get myself back down to Carlisle and get a bite to eat, and then I'll see you back in the yard. Right, it is 11 minutes past 5. Time's rather got away on me this afternoon. Since I've got back, I've just finished tidying up that 140 LCR that we PDI'd last week. I've been pricing up a lot of parts for a job that may or may not happen, and then I've been working on a low loader trailer as well. So that is it for today. Weather's bright blue skies now, would you believe? Oh, you can see the sun. Yeah, hopefully next week will be a little bit drier. The odd shower might be acceptable, but nothing like the rain today. Goodness me, it was biblical driving back from that track roller job. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed today's video, and don't forget, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. If you've enjoyed it, give it a like, and for more bits and pieces throughout the week, go and have a look at Ali's Digger Diary on Instagram and TikTok. Have a good weekend, everyone, and we'll see you on Monday.